Hello, my name is Setche Park, and this is week 5, I believe, of Computer Science 142, which is Java 1, Intro to Programming. So this week, in the textbook, we learned about loops, um, and for everything else that we did this week, we had a project, which I'll go into, and then we had our final project. We had to watch a video and then give an idea about what we're going to do for our final project. And then other than that, it's just more of the same. You have your this week's review video, and then we have other helpful videos to watch, and then the textbook examples. So in our textbook this week we went about loops. There's 3 different types of loops. There's in Java, there's while loops, there's do loops, which is like do while loops, and then there's the for loop. Basically all 3 loops are interchangeable and can be used to do the same functions, just like if you switch a couple things around in a couple lines of code, but each have different quirks about it. But as loops as a general, basically what the function is if you have to do multiple sequences or like have to do multiple things based on a certain constraint, then using loops is very helpful because it allows you to do those things in a concise manner rather than having to write out every single bit of code that will, like every loop that you have to do, instead of having to write out a code for each of those loops, you can make a loop code which will do all of that for you. So the first one we learned about is the while loop, which basically it says while something is true. So you have like a statement inside the while loop, and if that statement is true, then it'll do the function inside of it. And basically these are used by having, so you have that constraint, and then you have the body program, and then at the end of that program you have some kind of statement that changes the constraint, where let's say if like the constraint was while n is less than 5, at the end of the coding statement you would say maybe like add 1 to n, so then like you only like repeat a certain amount of times until it reached where n is not less than 5, so the statement would be true and it wouldn't execute the code. So do while statements are similar to that in that, except for the fact that instead of checking for the constraint at the beginning, it checks it at the end, so it does one thing of the program, and then it checks the loop at the end to see if it's going to loop again. And then for loops, it's basically just like a different way of writing it. It writes it like defines the variable that it's observing, and it does the constraint thing. So like that would be the n is less than 5, and then it would do the programming condition thing where like it changes the number at the end. So and then those are separated by semicolons, and then the rest of the code is just regular programming the body. So these are very useful in a lot of different applications, such as one of them being our program or our project that we wrote. So in our project that we did, we had so we were supposed to get numbers from our input, and basically we used loops in this situation by having the loop be or having the conditional statement be where it's not equal to 0, which is kind of like the exiting sequence of our loop, and basically when that it would keep going through that loop until the exiting sequence 0 was entered by the user input. And yeah, so speaking of the project, basically what we did is we had a list of numbers given from the user, and it'll find the biggest number that's inputted and then count how many times that number was in the code. And this was really useful by using loops because it'll just go through the numbers until it finds the biggest one, and it'll keep counting from that point the biggest number. The videos that were posted were, of course, very helpful just to get a different perspective and to hear from a person, as always. And I thought the project proposal video was also very helpful, just trying to really clear out everything, going very detailed. Just to summarize, loops are something that are quite intuitive to me, especially since I have done it in Python a lot. It was something that I used very much. So it wasn't too difficult for me to bring those skills over to this one, except there were a couple of different tools that we could use, like the different types of loops that you could use, and just getting used to the different languages. But mostly it's just trying to keep understanding and keep practicing. Thank you for listening to my review video.